Well, Cheikh Anta Diop was an example of what I talk about when I say you have to know the 5 domains. I mean, he was a physicist, a chemist, a scientist, a linguist, a historian. So he embodied almost all of those. He didn't do the astronomy part, in astrology, but he embodied almost all those things that I talk about that you need to master. So he became like my Jegna in terms of a prototype of how I need to fashion my skills. Because when he came to UNESCO in 1974 and challenged all of UNESCO, all the white scholars, I mean, him and Thea Bingo came in ready. They came in with their books and all the sciences, paleontology, anthropology, archaeology. They had all of their stuff. And the Europeans didn't have nothing. They just came with their whiteness. They didn't have no documentation, no nothing. So Thea Bingo them blew them out of the water. So that showed me, to me, that was the epitome of symptomatic thinking. I can prove everything that I state and that I can back up. So that became a profound influence for me, And then when he talked to Dr. Jacob Crothers and said that we don't learn them to do lecture, we're not even serious. Because you're going to the wolf to ask how do we rabbits avoid being eaten. And the wolf's gonna say, well, take this path, and when you see a cave, rest up in there first. And that's the wolf did, and get your PhD there so that Carter G. Woodson said that our most educated blacks will be our new enslavers. That the European master can go to sleep and his house will still be taken care of because we like, master, we sick? Master, our house on fire? Malcolm said they won't even let you near the plant. He's talking about our house. We sick, okay. And so Diop set the bar for me as being a linguist. I mean, he was doing DNA testing. He can prove the melanin context of the mummy. So he didn't just go and say, this black because they look black on the wall. He was like, give me a tip. All I need is just a centimeter, just a tissue, and I can prove, because it takes millions of years for melanin to break down. And then he did the scientific formula of what melanin does. And there's been melanin conferences among the European Jews since 1936. Because many of the diseases they have, melanin will cure it. It's the lack of melanin that, and their incest and things like that. But melanin is the root that can help cure many of these. So they've been having, no black people invited, but melanin conferences on black people since 1936. So we have to understand. So when we started our little melanin conference, they were kind of like Mickey Mouse conferences compared to what the Europeans were doing with melanin conference. And we know that melanin is the most powerful molecule in the animal domain. Melanin is to humans like chlorophyll is to plants, like carbon is to minerals. And so even when Asar is depicted green, he's not called the Great Green, he's called the Great Black. Green and black are synonymous with life. Nobody has the capacity to do what we can do. So that's why we learned basketball and we took it over. We learned football, we became the best. Everything we do, we learned, their way of music like that, we took it over, we became. America's only classical music is jazz and African music. The instruments, sound, we imitated nature. We took it over. We could imitate any sound we heard in nature. Sometimes we could even do it with our voice. And then we developed the instruments. So these strands of DNA separate us from everybody. I know they want to say, and Dr. Laila Africa used to prove, he said, even if you went and said that we're all the same in the inside, he said, that's wrong. The African internally is totally different from the European internally. Our bone structure. That's why you can take a bone. My daughter has a master's in cultural anthropology and forensic work. They can take a bone and by examining it, tell it there's the African or European. By its constituency, how it was made up, its constituency, its power. They can tell, they can even tell the cause of death from examining a bone of that, So the African internal structure is different. So what Lila Africa was trying to show you is that the medicine that's in the pharmacy is all geared towards a European male. And what they need and what we need is totally two different dosages. You know, he's saying that if diabetes scale is, if normal is 80 to 120, and you got 110 and you're African, you might have diabetes already. Because what's normal for them is not necessarily normal for us. And when they say you need one pill, we might need 3. Or just the opposite. They need 2, we need 1, you know. But it's not the same dosage that everything that they do is based upon a white albino, a white male. And so we got to look at medicine totally different, but I know we don't do that. But that's why we're the sickest people in America. One of the richest countries, the most long-lived of people now have the shortest lifespan. There's something wrong with that formula. And I say culture is our medicine. So once you go back to your culture, you start eating culturally, you start thinking culturally, you're around people who are thinking like you are, so the endorphins that are being emitted is powerful because there's love around you, you're thinking love, I'm thinking gratitude, I can't wait for the next day, so my stress level is really down. I'm getting plenty of vitamin C. That's why I'm out there almost every day. I'm getting my vitamin D on. The number one cause of stress is a lack of vitamin D. Vitamin D breaks down the immune system. And so every black who lives above Florida got a vitamin D deficiency unless you're outside 5 to 6 hours a day. Outside of being a farmer, who do you notice out there 5 or 6 hours a day? So 95% of all black people in America got a vitamin D deficiency. So that means you don't handle stress well. And who's the most stressful people in America? The black male. So there's an ordinance goes out that we shouldn't even pay Social Security because we don't live long enough to collect it. I'm just honored. I'm in the mid-70s. I'm one of the rare few, my colleagues, graduated from high school. I got one black person who graduated from, no, two black people who graduated from high school are still alive, who graduated in my class. So we had to change the way we think. So my brother, this is a whole way of life, this study. And when I study how great Mfundishi is and Imhotep and all of these other, that's inspiration. And I want our young people to know that. I want it recorded. I want it to be recorded. I want them to be able to take this information and run with it. I want them to, what they do with a basketball, I want them to do that in the computer room, in the corporate headquarters. Whoa, those numbers is off the chart. He just slammed the Wall Street. You know, that's what I want brothers to do. You remember Eddie Murphy when he did Trading Places? And he says, oh, you guys ain't nothing but a bunch of bookies. Oh, I know what's going to happen. And he was like an Ian Funny commercial. He wanted it because he understood the street. He understood that, you know. So they don't want you in that room, that corporate world. So brothers, I say thank you very much for allowing me to, you know, share this time with y'all.